We're just over a week away from Auburn's kickoff against Georgia Southern on the Plains. James Crepea joining me now on the Plains to discuss this upcoming season and what we're looking at in terms of filling some of those holes for the Auburn Tigers. And we'll start with the offensive line. It all starts at the line of scrimmage. James, what have you seen so far from this offensive line, and what are your expectations in terms of getting some push, obviously, in the run game?
Well, first and foremost, you have certain returning starters, and Braden Smith is at the top of that list, and that's a foregone conclusion. All offseason, we had heard he was going to be out at tackle, but then a couple of weeks into fall camp, we saw him moving back inside to guard. And, certainly some questions to be raised about, well, if he was really good at guard in the first place, why did they move him to tackle if they were just going to move him back? I think it had more to do with, one, his versatility, but more importantly, Prince Tega really seemed to take over at left tackle and seems like he's on the verge of winning that starting job. Him doing that enabled Smith to move back inside so they could put Darius James, another returning starter, on the right side of the line. The question at left guard, which was really their main question all offseason, Mike Horton was a guy they expected a lot from and was going to be battling for that job anyway. It seems like he's on the cusp of getting that, and obviously Austin Golson at center. So the starting five seems to be on the fringe of being set. And number 6 and 7, backup center, you got an All-American from the FCS level at Jacksonville State and Casey Dunn coming in, and another graduate transfer in Wilson Bell, who, if Smith didn't move back inside, Wilson Bell will be the starting right guard. There's no question about it. But because Braden Smith got to move back inside, Wilson Bell is just, the odd man out, it seems like, at the moment. So they're at least 70, probably 8 deep on the offensive line.
So that's good news. Of course, depth, always a great thing. Now we look at the wide receiving core. Of course, Jarrett Stidham named the starter. Gus Malzahn went ahead and gave him the nod over Sean White. Who are we looking at receivers? Give me some highlights of some of the receivers we can expect to be catching the ball this season.
Well, certainly going off just last year, the production wasn't there from the group as a whole. Really, the passing game as a whole. Hard to blame the receivers entirely. The quarterback play was so inconsistent. But of the returning receivers, Ryan Davis has been heralded as the leader of the group, vocally speaking. He is the oldest. Look, he's one of the few third-year receivers in this group. There's only 2 of them. He's one, and the lone junior of the group. The other being a redshirt sophomore in Darius Slayton. One led them in terms of yards last season in Slayton as far as returning guys. Davis led them in receptions among returning guys. I would expect a lot from those 2 guys, probably more from Slayton just in terms of yards because of the nature of his position. Davis more as a slant route kind of receiver, open space kind of guy. And then you have the sophomore class, which was really heralded as recruits between Nate Craig Myers, Kyle Davis, Eli Stove. I would expect upticks in production from all of them. And frankly, if they're able to get production from that trio along with Darius Slayton, this receiver core is going to be really, really productive next year. If they're able to get the production they believe, they could be extremely productive in the passing game.
And the expectation, of course, is to throw the ball a little bit more this season, but we all know that running game is going to be all so important for this Auburn Tiger team. Of course, some returning starters in Cameron Petway, Kerryon Johnson, but then some newcomers. What is your expectation for the running back core this year?
Well, it's hard to expect more than what they already did, quite frankly, other than the fact that both Petway and Johnson dealt with injuries last season. It's hard to say you expect them both to be healthy just because of the nature of the league. But if they are able to, it's hard to argue that both of these guys couldn't get 1,000 yards. Petway did last season. Johnson was just shy of 900, and again, he was subject to injuries a couple of games. The number 3 spot is wide open, and that seems to be a more situational opportunity. And frankly, that's not unusual for Auburn. Even the past couple of years, the number 3 spot's always been this kind of open rotation, and this year it'll be Malik Miller, who's more of a power style back. You saw him at the beginning of last season before knee injury. Cam Martin is more of that speed and scat back. And then a true freshman, Devin Barrett, who seems to be the jack of all trades, similar to Kerryon Johnson, frankly. So it's hard to expect a true freshman who could be 5th in line to not redshirt, but they very well could end up playing Devin Barrett a significant amount of time if they believe he could be that number 3 back. But I see that role as situational, but no question about it. Petway and Johnson are going to be the leading 2. And again, barring injury, that's just going to be the way it is all season.
Yeah, of course, starting the season out, no injuries is always a good thing, and obviously having a lot of depth there at that position, certainly a great thing. Again, James, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And of course, for all your Auburn Tiger updates, you can visit us on AL.com.